Hi, and welcome back to AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris. Joining me today is Dr. Catherine Bair. Catherine is the CEO of Bair Tracks here in Australia, and we're going to be talking about what AI is and what AI isn't. Hey, Catherine, welcome to AI in 5. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Look, we're going to jump right into this. Just before this, we were having a conversation that I know the listeners of the podcast are going to love, and that is you've got this brilliant analogy around what AI is and what AI isn't. Share it with the group.
Yeah, so very happy to. So this is not my story. This came from a man named Dr. Mike, who is a Marine and has a PhD in computer science. So he can hurt you mentally and physically.
Slight overachiever. Yep.
Yeah, brilliant man. And the work that I was doing with him was in the United States Department of Defense. We had a whole portfolio called Information Sciences, and it included work that we were doing on AI. And at the time, it was how to understand AI, how to explain AI, how do I know if I put in A, I get out Z. So you're very basics, and it's not too much farther behind from what we are now. One of the hardest parts of my job was explaining to people what AI is and is not, because everybody thinks they have AI. They act like I can go to Kmart and go pick it up tomorrow. It doesn't exist. We're not there yet. Made inroads in progress. But Dr. Mike gave me a story that I could use to explain to people who are not technical, using no technical terms whatsoever, to understand what AI is. It's a great little story. It starts out with imagining that you are a pharmacist or chemist, and you've got a shop in Jordan, and you've got this nifty little computer program that tells you, and it's very basic, your data analysis, statistical data kind of level. When you purchase 10 bottles of Pepto-Bismol, 7 is sold, you need to start buying more so you can restock. That's super handy. I like that. Yep. You take it up a step higher, and the computer program now is telling you, well, normally you sell Pepto-Bismol in January, February, March. You sell Tylenol or Panadol in September, October, November, Danger shampoo sometime this year. And by the way, these warehouses down the street, well, they're selling these products about 4 months before you actually buy them at a much lower cost. You should buy them, stock up, and have them available for yourself. That's fantastic. I like a program like that. Now, if you take it up even one level higher, let's say it's December, and all of a sudden you're selling out of Pepto-Bismol, Imodium AD, Mylantol, your tummy trouble kind of medication. And, oh, by the way, the Sheikh's daughter is having a wedding, and there's going to be a bunch of very important people that are going to be participating. And if you had AI would be able to take the information that's available and say, actually, what you have are terrorists that are in town, and their stomachs can't handle the spice from the native foods. So that's kind of how AI takes data that you have, adds context to that data, and completely changes the nature of the data. That's AI. And that's something that nobody actually has right now. So it's kind of a brilliant, simple little story to understand at a very, very non-technical level how smart that program has to be in order to be considered actual artificial intelligence.
And all of the non-technical people around the world have just cheered and said, yes, I can finally understand that. That's great. You work in that defense space, which is a very interesting space. What are you seeing going on right now? What's the new latest trends?
Actually, also in defense, I think it's more materials development than anything else. Everyone is talking AI and machine learning, data analysis. They're looking at vision analysis, fusing a lot of information coming from all these different sensors and these different effectors. But that has been going on for quite some time. Actually, data stats started way back in like the 30s. So we're not doing anything terribly new or revolutionary. The processors and the ability to machinate all the data really, really fast, that has grown in leaps and bounds, but that's material science. So when we look at about how we can move data even faster, those are the kind of interesting advancements that we're making right now. There's also advancements in material science for things like chemical and biological protection, for use of materials in space. How do we make them more resistant to the extreme environments, just getting into space? There's a lot of extremes that you have to go through, but then they have to be able to function in space and work in space. Maritime environments, very important to everybody. So a lot of people now are working on things like precision navigation and timing. That's great, but people have been working on P&T for quite some time. Well, how do you keep your materials from falling apart when they're exposed to all of that seawater and the extreme conditions that are in the ocean? So we've got companies, there's one that developed a drone for the America's Cup, and it's got a hard body on there that can survive all of the mess that goes on in the ocean. Actually, the guts from Hargrave, the company down here in Australia. A company in the US has taken those pieces, put them together, sort of beasted it up, and made it specific for the DoD. But they're just simply using materials that are far more advanced than what was available for drones. You can make a drone go fast. You can add a gun to a drone, a laser, whatever, what have you. But it's those materials that really made the difference. So I see a lot of work going to that. A lot of resources in Australia that don't exist anywhere else in the world. So we're definitely interested in what's under the ground in Australia and the purity of it and how fast you can mine it and what you can use it for. And if we take all your different ores and such and put them together in different series or sequence or percentages, what can we really get out of that? What kind of new materials are going to be available to us? So
Yeah,
I think it's one of those quiet advancements. Not a lot of people are talking material science. No one seems to really bother with it. But yeah, I see a lot of advancements happening in there that are far more revolutionary than what's going on in the ones and zeros world.
Yeah, I wish somebody could come up with something that's under the ground at my place, which just seems to be hard clay. Look, we're right at 5 minutes, but I love to ask everybody the same question that comes on the show. What's your one great tip for someone who's just starting their AI journey?
Talk to as many people as you possibly can about how AI is generated, because you're going to find a lot of different answers and realize right quick in a hurry that everybody's different concept of what AI really is, where we really are in the pathway there. And yeah, it's just kind of get smart across what's available and talk to the universities. That's where the real nerds are. Those are the ones doing the hardcore research. They're the ones still looking at convoluted neural networks. And then they're still kind of in the nitty gritty of how do we get to the point that we have AI. So it's not the flash, it's a substance.
Awesome. That's great advice. Catherine, thank you for being on AI in 5.
All right, thank you very much for having me.